Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty crazy and pretty big news when it comes out over here with the Xbox acquisition going on. Now, we actually had some news about like maybe 2 or 3 days ago, but it does seem like we're getting even more information coming on out. And this has actually kind of been driving up a really big storm on the internet community, and I kind of want to hear your thoughts too as well, because it is somewhat really unfavorable for Xbox and kind of all seems misguided too as well in regards to PlayStation. Now, as you guys know, I'm definitely a bit more of a PlayStation fanboy to the point where I literally own a PS5 and don't even have an Xbox, but I do use PC Game Pass as well. But a lot of this type of stuff that's coming out is basically stating that there's like Xbox is like treating PlayStation unfairly and all these types of things. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really seem like that's the real, I guess, thing that's going on, especially with all the exclusives, them kind of locking in deals, and also trying to be open-handed when it comes to Call of Duty. But as well, we keep on saying there's a lot of big regulatory issues that need to be solved, and I think they are still being worked on. So we have a brand new document that came out, I believe, today from the CMA and like really big legal entities, and as well just a lot of the drama too as well. So let's go and talk about it. As well, if you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway with that Twitter link down below for it, or $500 Xbox too as well for that giveaway. Twitch as well for the bonus entries. We do have the Target links down below, Amazon links down below, and all that. And let's dive into the video itself. So very first and foremost, I want to let you guys know all about this kind of big, like, I guess, issue coming out. So as you guys may or may not know, we've had basically approval, I think, in Saudi Arabia and as well also in Brazil when it comes to Microsoft for them getting their acquisition when it comes to Activision. But as of now, the CMA was unswayed by Microsoft's arguments for Activision Blizzard's acquisition. They have issued statements from the UK regulators dismissing some of Xbox's makers that points to Call of Duty exclusivity. And a lot of folks as well are kind of not agreeing with this and kind of calling out the hypocrisy, and a lot of folks are now saying that, well, we should probably go buy it and pop some popcorn, because it does seem like the Xbox response is probably going to be pretty spicy and pretty good. So the UK's Competition and Markets Authority today released an issue statement laying out a number of concerns with the proposed Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard and dismissing several of the Xbox makers' key arguments. The first question it tackled was whether or not the acquisition would result in Xbox making Call of Duty exclusive, which you guys have been discussing a lot, foreclosing, by CMA terminology, something that Microsoft has said has no intention of doing, but is only committing to keep on PlayStation for several years. Financial modeling of the merger suggests that the merged entity's incentive to foreclose Sony may be considerably stronger than suggested by the parties, the CMA determined. And that was actually, if you guys remember months ago, that was kind of my first kind of big critique. Where, yes, Microsoft keeps on saying they'll want to help them out for at least a few years, but that also doesn't give them out for any information on the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years or so when it comes to like the acquisition. And I think that's a big thing to note. Now, I'm not against the Xbox acquisition because I have Game Pass and I kind of want a cheap Call of Duty, Overwatch, or whatever. But at the end of the day, I don't want people getting and losing, like consumers not having the same deal. So Microsoft's past business practices suggest that it may be willing to make losses in the short term in order to build scale and increase its user base. It continued, noting that Microsoft has previously acquired multi-platform publishers and made their games exclusive. Now, that kind of leads into like the big part 2 of this, where a lot of folks are kind of calling out and a mixture of stuff. Number one is in regards to that, stating that Microsoft, which they have done, like the Microsoft has actually skated by regulation quite a bit, like the big parent company, like, Windows and all of that, and obviously Xbox is owned by Microsoft. But a big thing to note is that there's a double whammy. Number one, pushing on the fact that Bethesda, which was also a pretty big and sizable purchase, and they have gone on record stating that Xbox will be exclusive for that on Game Pass. Like, they do not want to have Bethesda games come out on PlayStation or probably also Switch, or if they do, multiple years later. Now, I'm okay with that because they spent billions of dollars, but in terms of like monopoly laws and regulation laws, obviously that's a big difference. Like, my own personal opinion doesn't matter. These big regulators care a little bit more. So that's a big thing because they have gone on record stating that they do not want those games on Game Pass. But like I said, they bought it. They kind of deserve that. Regulators may not agree, though. And that also then leads into the fact that they have been saying for the next few years they might keep Call of Duty over here. You know, they might throw a bone to PlayStation for the next 2 or 3 years, but also might just have contract obligations that are supposed to be happening regardless. So that does kind of lead to a lot more bigger issues because Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. They can go and afford to lose money and then also kind of go and space out PlayStation, Nintendo, Tencent, EA, Origin, or whatever to basically out from the markets themselves. And also did go and dismiss this as well on the arguments that Microsoft would keep Call of Duty multi-platform simply to avoid publicity backlash, saying it did not identify any persuasive evidence that Microsoft would be deterred from engaging in total or partial foreclosure strategies by the prospect of reputational damages to Xbox or Call of Duty. So it's basically them trying to say, like, they could probably just go and do it either way, because reputation-wise, why would they care? Like, if a PlayStation user is upset, that's almost good for them on the Xbox side, because that basically means that they might switch over to PC Game Pass, or Xbox and buy an Xbox in the next drop itself too as well. So given how exclusive Call of Duty could shape consumer decisions around which console to buy, the CMA determined that it would impact Sony's ability to compete with Microsoft, which would have a detrimental impact on overall competition in the market and ultimately harm consumers. And which, and honestly, I'd probably agree with. Now, I do think, like, in theory, like, Xbox thinks this acquisition is going to go through, and they have had a pretty good case of good karma. Now, a big thing that people keep on calling out over here is that some of this is kind of a stretch of the truth. So, very first truth is that when it comes to Bethesda, they did go on record stating future games they want to only release on Game Pass platforms. But as you guys can also note and say, this is also kind of up in the air because these were contractual things that have to be obligated on. But games like Deathloop, Skyrims, and all those types of previous games, like the Fallout New Vegas, have been on PlayStation Plus catalogs. They're on like the big promotional thing for PlayStation, and as well even for Deathloop and other games. And they have, I think, like that Cyber Tokyo game, I forgot what it was called, like the cool game with like the Ghostwire Tokyo, there you go. You have all those games that were Bethesda games and were made by Bethesda Studios and worked on or published by it, so it kind of has a weird saying tied on into it. Because in theory, there has been some good graces, and then it also kind of goes and brings up the Call of Duty exclusivity, where we keep on seeing like early access to betas on PlayStation. I think Destiny did the same thing where they had exclusive maps on PlayStation, how they have the extra secondary character, and you have all these other details even right now with the Call of Duty bundle that's been on like the PlayStation Direct, and a lot of folks have been calling that type of stuff out, mainly because they even say things like Microsoft first-party titles are not available on any multi-game subscription services other than Game Pass, even where those titles are available for purchase on rival consoles. But that's why everyone's kind of intrigued on it, because they keep on saying is that, well, no, it's kind of not true. Now, ever since a lot of these big deals, like say ever since they bought Bethesda, it has not happened, which may be what they're alluding to, and they're actually not wrong on that as well. But it just might maybe depend on how you look at it and what they go and do. Because in theory, like, yeah, they kind of did move on, and they probably will not be releasing things like Starfield on PlayStation, and that's why a lot of folks are curious on what's going to happen with the Xbox Game Pass and Call of Duty. So basically, given how exclusive Call of Duty could shape consumer decisions around which console to buy, as I mentioned, they would mess up with Sony's impact for that. While the CMA said it was examining the impact the acquisitions might have on competition more generally, Sony's clear status as Microsoft's closest rival in a highly concentrated console market deserved special consideration. While it acknowledged Nintendo's role in the market, it noted the company offered differentiated hardware with more family-friendly software. So parties who want to weigh into the issue statements have until October 28th, so we'll probably get a lot more information throughout these next 2 weeks or so, because we get a lot of this information because court filings are all public, and they're always showcasing up new information. So we'll have a chance to look through documents, and they have to be basically right and legal, and that's how we got even some of the Xbox information for their Game Pass subscriptions. But like I said, I think a lot of folks out here have been upset. A lot of folks have been calling out PlayStation. A lot of folks are saying, like, what's up with this? And even though, like, there's these all big things floating around, it just kind of goes to show that these monthly games and free games and everything else tied on in is always kind of crazy. It's like there's gonna be a lot more stuff where I'll probably almost want to talk about this tomorrow too as well, because there's just a lot of drama. But the main gist of it is still UK regulators are not convinced on the Xbox side. They're still worried about PlayStation, and there has been some kind of hypocrisies because, like I said, things have been showing up on PlayStation platforms. Things have also been done with deals, and there's also been like even Bethesda games. But as well, it also might be part 2 where they just haven't really happened since then. So this Game Pass drama has been insane, and it's gonna probably keep on coming as this big deal keeps on getting more attention. So give me your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. And the Amazon links down below. We have the Target links down below and giveaway link too as well. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place.